It seems a little funny for guys to give advice to women. So like I probably won't give very good fashion advice. I doubt you would either.
No.
But I think one thing we can say is what we look for.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in a way advice to women. So let's say that you could speak to your future wife and kind of give her a pep talk or maybe give her constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things, you don't have to like look at the camera and say, well, darling, this and
Right.
that, But basically, what are some things that girls could do if more girls did them would turn your head more often?
Okay. Well, I'll just start with what comes to mind. Character is very important. Character and integrity. That can show up in little ways. Just doing what you say that you'll do.
Mm-hmm.
Treating other people well. Having a healthy self-respect, but not being too far either way there. But yeah, character is very important, and that's one of the hardest to find. That's like the rare Monopoly piece, so to speak, if you think of McDonald's Monopoly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you get a lot of we used to play that. We'd get like maybe 100 park places, but no boardwalk.
Exactly. Yeah. I know, and you'd think you're close. Like, oh, I have 100 park places.
Yeah.
I used to sell those on eBay for a time.
Yeah, you're a scam.
Yeah, no, it was not a scam.
Well, okay. Your ploy.
It was, hey, the buyer, it's a free market. If the buyer wants to invest in if they want to invest in the pieces that are rare, it was full disclosure. I told them what the pieces were. And hey, I was selling, that was the whole other thing. I was selling French fry boxes. I was in the zone then. And then the whole thing was that it was a scam. There was an employee who was pilfering winning pieces, and the whole system crashed.
Right.
But as a teenager, I was doing all right there.
Part of the corrupt system.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, so characters and slash integrity, that's very important. Being the same person in and out. Actually being ladylike, right? And
what does that mean to be ladylike?
Well, it doesn't mean like dress like you're from the 1800s or something. To me, it's just how you carry yourself. Actually, I'd say some of the common missteps are when a woman is like crude or crass in any way. That's just like a major turn off for me. It's not even like, oh, I have a moral objection to it. I do, but it's like, no, it doesn't do it for me. Like she almost like gets out of the girl category then. It just doesn't work. And actually, I'm even using any kind of swearing or even things, even like your milder versions, like just anything that's, like I would swear, but like since I'm Christian, I'll use the semi-swear. That just really doesn't do it for me.
It's more of a heart thing. It's not that the hearing that syllable is going to offend you. It's just,
right.
It's like, well, you're trying to be as bad as you can, sort of.
Yeah, there's just something about that. Well, I think maybe this is kind of an illusion, but men almost like the idea that, oh, the girl's like a little more innocent than you, or she doesn't know all the bad words or something, even though of course she does. She lives in the world too. But you just want her to, I mean, why? I mean, I don't even say bad words. So I think, hey, she's not allowed to say bad words, right? I say that joke. That's probably didn't.
Sure. I mean, no, I agree. It's just, it's funny how you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe since I'm such a square, right, that I try to catch myself, like I don't even want to go there. So if she goes there, I think, hey, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be making me blush. Like,
true.
How does this work?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else you look for? Anything else?
Well, the character, being ladylike, being attractive. That's a big one. But a lot of that is how you. I know everyone's dealt a different hand, but anyone who's I'll say any girl who's at her right weight and has a good attitude tends to be attractive. Right?
Right.
So, and it's mainly just being what you can be. And by the way, that doesn't mean, I'm looking for a girl who's like really actually attractive. It doesn't mean like, dress in an attention-getting way or do this or dress or act, because that can actually be a turn off. Because again, it's like, well, yeah, sure, you succeeded in catching my eye for a minute, but you also caught the eye of every other guy. Like this obviously isn't
Yeah, it's not reserved just for you.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, you've brought up this point before, but like say a girl is dressed provocatively or something, and you see her at a party or in a group, you think, well, hey, you've said, hey, wait a minute, like she didn't know you were coming to the party.
Right.
Like that's not for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you think, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
And it's funny how that works.
You have to. They say like dress for the job you want. In a way, dress for the husband you want.
True.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Right.
Well, no.
Because if you want to like, we've said this before, but you catch what you bait your hook for.
Yes,
Yeah.
very true. And you can miss the mark either way. Like of course it goes without saying, like you shouldn't dress immodestly, you shouldn't do this or that. But also it's a big mistake to think, oh, well then looks don't matter. Like since we're both Christian, looks won't matter or appearances won't matter.
Yeah.
Well, no, of course it matters.
Right.
I would say that to young men too, by the way. Like, hey, come on, don't be a bum. Like if it won't hurt you to take a bath or comb your hair or tuck in your shirt or whatever you have to do. But yeah, of course. No, it's not shallow of girls to want you to look put together.
Right.
No, of course
Exactly.
not.
Yeah. I'd say one thing for me, a big indicator is, will a girl do the same thing regardless of the audience she's in? I'm a wedding photographer. And so a lot of times I'll see a lot of bridesmaids who are kind of going with the flow, and, if one whips out, the alcohol, they all glug it down and everything. And one thing, I remember one time there was a bridesmaid who was just simply didn't go along with it. She didn't stand in a corner and wave her finger. She just like opted out. And I thought, oh, that says something about her, because this is a time when there's strong pressure to comply. So if you aren't complying, you see what was interesting in that case is I didn't see any other indications of her character. But I thought, well, wait, just doing the math, there's strong pressure to comply and you're not. So something is causing you not to.
Exactly.
And she was going against the grain, and it made her stand out.
Yes.
And sometimes I think people mistake that. They think they have to proactively do something, like they have to like act super Christian or something.
No. When
really, stand and just follow God no matter what, and then you will stand out, because you don't have to. You're not zigging and zagging with the world. You're not zigging with the world or deliberately against it to be contrarian.
Yes.
So you're not zigging and zagging with the world. You're instead just cutting a line to God, and then you will stand out from all those who are zigging and zagging.
No, I agree. That's very well put.
I thought so too.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've used this analogy before, but out west we went through Monument Valley, and it's funny, that's an attraction now. You see all these giant rock formations. In fact, kind of like that. That's not Monument Valley. That's in Arizona. But principle's the same. Giant, impressive rock formations. And really, that's simply what did not erode. Everything was at that level. But then the weak stuff got pushed away by the pressures of wind and time and all that. And then only what was solid remained.
Yes.
And suddenly, it's towering above you.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of it, I think that's a good point. I think just being left standing, people underestimate how powerful that is. I've often used this standard, like, okay, so if I'm looking for a girl, if there's a girl I might be interested in, well, ideally I want someone who's also been waiting for marriage, right? In all the different ways, doing her best to wait for marriage. So you can kind of, it's one thing, like it's not hard to wait for marriage if you're 17, you just have to wait another year till you're 18, right? But if you're, waiting from 20 to 30, it takes a little more willpower, right? For men or women. And it really says something. If I meet, say, an attractive woman who's 30 years old, then I realize that, wait a minute, she's been doing the right things. Like, wait, she's had a lot of time. She's had, 12 years since she was 18, whatever, wherever you want to draw the line. That must have been a lot of good decisions along the way. Because you can almost infer that...
To be a survivor, sort of.
Right, if you're still here, right? Well, because it's not like... I mean, just to put it kind of simply, if I see an attractive woman who's 30, say, who's tried to be a good girl in all the different ways, I think, well, wait a minute. It's not that she never could have had a boyfriend if she wanted to. It's not that no guys were attracted to her. It's not that she didn't have any chances. Then I can infer, wait, she must be doing it on purpose, right? She must be single on purpose.
Right.
Maybe she's holding out for the right one.
Right.
Isn't that funny how loudly that speaks?
It does. In fact, I would like to encourage girls out there in that boat, because guys, okay, we could be awfully dumb, but we're not that dumb. We can do the math. And it speaks volumes about you. I think, wow, you must be really dedicated to one right guy if you're going to give up all these other guys. In fact, you're giving up all these other guys just on the hope that that guy exists.
Yes.
So you must really value that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Have you ever had where, you know, different girls have different approaches, and some can be a bit flirty or flirtatious might be a better word, but maybe she flirts with you a little and you're flattered. Then you see her walk across the room and flirt with the next guy and the next guy and the next guy in the same way.
Yes.
And suddenly you go, oh, okay. I thought that meant something. It didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what you build contrast with your choices, you know? And you have to choose. You can kind of like, you know, if you have only so many, you know, Legos, you could either build high or wide.
Yeah.
You know, if you keep going wide, you won't get very high. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. No, and you do. This happens to men and women, but sometimes you do. Sometimes in the moment, yeah, like in that round, that person had all the fun, right? Like, okay, that girl went and, you know, kind of flirted with 5 different guys. Well, maybe she's having more fun at the party right now. Of course, there's the male version of that. You could go and whatever. I could be a cornball and try to, you know, impress all the different girls or something.
Yeah.
Who knows if it would work or not.
Right.
Like say I did something where you would know I'm not being myself.
Right.
Maybe I'm like stealing your best joke or something and tailoring it to each girl and trying to see where I can get.
It hasn't worked for me. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, and the best one might not be that good either.
Right.
But you know, you would.
Yeah.
It takes restraint to you know, I really appreciate this. I've heard this from our dear sister Mary Elizabeth, but she's awesome.
Best sister.
Best sister, only sister, but
Yeah, still.
the best one. She'll often say, she doesn't even like mention, she doesn't make it look hard, but a few times she'll be honest, like, yeah, it's kind of tough if you're in an environment where maybe the other girls are kind of showing off and then you can't show off, or you know you shouldn't. And then you're like risking being overlooked.
Yes.
But I would tell her, or tell any of those girls, like, no, you won't be overlooked by the good guys.
Right.
The good guys will notice you.
Right.
Because the good guys are just sorting through all the noise, trying to zone in on the good girls, right?
Exactly.
And I think this encourages me in reverse, because I think guys, you do hone your discernment or your judgment. So I think you can identify the good girls pretty quickly, the right kind of girls. So I have to remind myself of that. Wait, maybe that works in reverse, because I'm sure men and women don't have maybe the same insecurities, but men also wonder, hey, will this even be appreciated? Like, if I do the right thing, is anyone even noticing? Will the right girl even notice? Right. But I think, well, I mean, I can pick the girls out of the lineup pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe it works both ways.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true.
So
I would say a big thing also, and this is for men and women, but, well, like Jesus says, hey, count the cost before you follow me. Well, decide what you want. Okay, do you want to just like kind of spray your attentions around to a bunch of people and not go very deep with anyone? Or in your heart of hearts, do you really want a lasting, permanent, great, wonderful, fiery, romantic relationship with one person?
yes.
Okay, I would assume that most people want the latter. They want the quality relationship. Well, then you have to live as if that's true. You have to, again, like dress for the job you want.
Yes.
Okay, so then you have to make yourself a great fit for that one guy out there. And I have different people over the years I haven't been in love with the girl per se, or maybe I like a lot of things about her, but she's married or whatever it is. But I'll use her as kind of a mental model that, okay, I know that girl exists. And there's always that saying that if you see one like cockroach in your house, there are actually 1,000 for everyone you see,
right.
which isn't very comforting.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you see like one good guy out there, they are rare, but you can multiply that by thousands. And even if it doesn't work with a particular guy, and then in my case with a particular girl, I say, wait, I know such girls exist. So even though I haven't met her yet, I'm going to be investing in that stock. I wanted to be, because I want a girl who has very high okay, who has very high standards, who would say yes to me. So that's a tough bar, because yeah, I could get a girl with low standards to say yes to me if I'm a bum. But you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I want to be able to afford the purchase, because she's going to be worth millions. I want, and so the same for a girl, that, hey, you do have to, by faith, exclude a lot of guys, exclude anything that would lower your value to the one right guy.
Yes.
And it's tough. You have to choose today whom you will serve.
You do have to choose. Yeah. And it's so much easier to tumble down the cliff or tumble down the hill.
Tumble up a hill.
Yeah, you don't tumble up.
Yeah.
So it is, it's kind of sobering, like when you're driving, like, hey, you only once have to swerve off the cliff and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you were a great driver 99% of the time.
Sure, yeah.
Right. And just keep, not to like live in fear or anything, but just remember, like, hey, you're only as strong as the weakest link. So if you think, no, I usually pass up on horrible relationships like that,
Yeah.
It only happens every so often.
Sure.
I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm just saying that you just make sure it's watertight.
Right.
Make sure you stand for something.
Well, another thing is, it's better to go somewhere slowly than nowhere fast.
Yes.
And so we aren't very good at perceiving time. I remember, like, when I couldn't wait to be 18. And like, I thought,
Yeah.
And now that's in the rearview mirror by quite a bit. And so it's qualities worth waiting for.
I think so. Yeah, and also you sometimes have to decide whether you want to be successful in an area or look successful, right?
Right.
And I've seen, even like with choice of career, or sometimes people might, what if you have a less glamorous thing that actually makes a lot of money? Or you have something that like looks more successful, but maybe you're in great debt or something.
Sure.
That's one angle. But also here, like sometimes I've seen this, but I've seen people who you think would be completely happy, like maybe a youngish, well-off couple. They're both attractive. They act like they're in love. I would think, they're the kind of people like people would get jealous about, right? Like other people are probably getting jealous on social media. Then you learn that the backstory that, actually they're barely speaking to each other, or they've been estranged for a while or something. I think, oh man, isn't that a shame? Because here they were probably making everyone else was like feeling bad about themselves, kind of trying not to envy what they have.
Right.
And then sometimes I see, maybe that happens because you care a lot about appearances, or you care a lot about looking successful. And by the way, that would maybe a practical way would be, hey, as a guy, it's really tempting if, say, there's a cute girl who you think might be interested in you, but say she has like a terrible attitude, you don't even like her that much. It'd be very tempting to still have her be your date and be seen with her.
Sure.
Like, hey, look, attractive girl, she likes me.
No one else sees the flaws.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But isn't that kind of dumb in the long run?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One example that just popped into my head is, probably a lot of people out there have seen the old 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember how he's among the Midianites, and like I guess he's with Jethro's family, and like he gets his pick among the girls, and like most of them are like they like literally do, like maybe like 8 of them at once do a dance in front of them, like they're candidates, but then one girl in a way has just a little too much self-respect and is just doing her own thing, and she's even out away. She's not auditioning. Yeah. She's just like doing her work, tending to the sheep. Yeah. And like she stands out.
Exactly.
But I could imagine, and I'm kind of, that's kind of a fictionalized biblical account. And I'm fictionalizing my memory of it a little anyway. But the point being that if I were her, if I liked Moses, if I liked Charlton Heston, I would think, oh man, I blew it. Here I am. I'm not even trying. Everyone else is in there trying. And I've already conceded defeat. But I'm just going to do the right thing anyway. Yeah. Oh, well, I agree. And I think a girl, and guys too in some ways, but a girl has to be willing to do that. You have to, in a way, give up being like flashy in the moment and let yourself be discovered a bit.
I think so.
But it's not only a personality thing. It's not saying, okay, therefore be a wallflower. No. It's just saying, in season or out, follow the same road. Whatever is right, whatever God says.
Yeah, and just don't be afraid to be yourself. There's nothing wrong with being outgoing and chatty or being more reserved and quiet. Right. Just, hey, you don't have to fake it. You can be what you are. And also just a little one thing I've learned over the years is, when you're just a teenager or something, you might be overly impressed with a pretty girl. Like, say you're say you're 15 and there's this pretty girl in her 20s. You almost you'd probably get tongue-tied just being around her. But then as you grow up, you realize, hey, wait, hey, come on, the girls are just people too. Attractive girls are just people too. Sometimes you ever find yourself in this situation, like maybe you actually are around a very attractive girl. Maybe she's even a model. Maybe
not often enough, but yes.
I know. Let me know if you can. Right. Anyway, no, I've had times where I'm literally around a girl who I happen to know is a model or something. Maybe I'm fictionalizing a little here, but say you see other guys all trying to impress her. Like they're thinking, oh, the pretty girl, okay, here I'm going to bring my best line, or I'm going to kind of impress her. I'm going to show off in some way. Okay, do I show off my smarts? Do I show off my athletic ability or something? And I can see guys maybe trying way too hard. And I'll think, oh man, this girl, poor girl, she's probably bombarded with that kind of attention. Sometimes and this isn't like me trying to pick her up or anything. I might just say, hey, I'm just going to treat that girl as a person. Like she's probably just a person with some quirks. I might just go talk to her. Hey, how are you doing? Like, hey, what's going on? What are you interested in? Maybe ask her about something else. Like in a way, ask her about anything but her looks or whatever. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because I've actually, it's just funny how everyone's an individual. Like no one's, maybe that's just part of, being close to God, or just truly trying to just see people as people, caring about people, not objectifying anyone in any way. But you actually get closer, it's kind of a paradox, but by trying not to look at women the wrong way or be shallow, you actually get more of the good kind of friendship.
Right. One thing, this sounds a little paradoxical,
okay,
but there are two qualities I appreciate in women. One is strength and the other is sweetness. And I realized recently, sweetness is strength. That seems a little paradoxical, but especially nowadays, femininity is under assault. And there's a sense that if you're girly, for lack of a better word, that something's wrong with you. It takes real courage to preserve that sweetness within you.
I agree. Yeah.
And another thing, I think just strength, I don't think that means having a rough exterior. I think like we talked about with men, that men have it inverted where they're gooey on the inside and have this big macho veneer on the outside. Well, I think it's the same with women, where I think a woman should be tough as nails in certain areas. Just because men are going to be are stronger than you in many ways doesn't mean you're a pushover for. You have to be objective. You can't just let your emotions dictate everything. You can't. You have to follow God. You have to follow right and wrong, no matter what, no matter how you feel. And there's real strength there. And I think it's only within that strength that you can be sweet. And to help visualize this, okay, remember those exercises we would do where it's called an air squat, I think?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I can do it without messing up the shot.
Yeah.
I apparently can't do it without messing up the shot. So I'll just describe it.
Yes.
Basically, you're kind of sitting without a chair. You're kind of doing a squat like this. It's really hard. You're basically in the sitting position without anything supporting you. You have to be really tense. You'll usually shake. Okay. Okay. But if instead you sit in a chair, you can be relaxed.
Yes.
And I think if a girl acknowledges and is living in the truth, that's like the chair. That's suddenly supports the weight, and then you can loosen up and be sweet and be feminine. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think I do.
So I think the strength frees you to be feminine. Does that make sense?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think these days there's a lot of confusion, and you said femininity is discouraged. I think masculinity is discourred too.
Yeah, it is.
At least for men. Which
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's encouraged in women, but not in men.
Yeah, what's the deal?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't quite get what the end game is. Like, do we all run to the center?
Do we meet in the middle?
Yeah, how does that work?
Or that we're supposed to cross paths and reverse roles?
Yeah, just for fun, or how does that go?
Yeah.
Yeah, seems kind of dumb to me.
Yeah.
But
that's a good word for it, dumb.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so you were saying, it takes strength. Well, I think also these days it's hard to know as men and women, it's hard to even know where you're headed. Like, you probably won't hit a target that you aren't aiming at, right? It's hard enough to do the right thing even when you know what it is. I think that's one reason, like, you need to let women be women, you need to let men be men. And then you have something to fight for. You have something to live up to. If you know there's a feminine woman who's attracted to masculine men, well then, hey, I'm going to give it my best shot, right? Hopefully she'll give it her best shot. But if no one even knows, or they're getting mixed messages, you know, if you're saying, oh, women, you shouldn't be so feminine, what are you doing? Men, you shouldn't be so masculine, what are you doing? It's just a big confused mess. And like, no one knows what instrument they're playing. Like, so the orchestra isn't going to sound very good.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, but no, it's definitely not, I don't like, it does take strength. I would say a woman who's rock solid on following God and knowing who she is, but then can afford to have a warm, loving exterior.
Yeah.
You know,
it's funny that I didn't derive this from Proverbs 31, but that's basically what it says. Like, she's a strong businesswoman. She has her affairs in order and everything. And it says then she can laugh at the days to come.
Yes.
Yeah. So it actually, by kind of like that chair analogy, by having the right things oriented, taken care of, you can then be loose and sweet and laugh, you know?
Well, I would say, just to encourage everyone, that there are feminine women out there and there are masculine men out there. They're not always easy to find, but they do exist, and they tend to find each other, right?
Yeah.
Because if you, once you know who you are, like once you're rock solid in what you are, then it's easy to imagine what the other half is.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
But if you're undefined, then, well, anything could go with that. How do you know?
Right.
There is no right answer.
It's kind of like that key metaphor we used before.
Yes.
That I guess we didn't do it in this talk, so we could just reiterate briefly, but like, you can be kind of a squishy key that kind of fits a lot of locks, but doesn't fit any one lock very precisely. You're not like a catch for any one lock.
Yes.
Or you can be a precise key that clearly doesn't fit a lot of locks, but fits perfectly with one.
Yes. And I've often told myself that, hey, you know, I'm like, this sounds crazy, but I'm just going to audition for the masculine role. Like, let's give it a shot. And I'm hoping there's a girl out there who's auditioning for the feminine role.
Yeah.
And I think, hey, you know, you don't need to please them all. You don't need to please the majority. Like, you just have to find one person crazy enough to like you the way you are, right?
Right. Yeah, we can hope.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're keeping our fingers crossed. But you know what I mean? Like, you don't.
Right.
Again, that says something, and sometimes it's almost good to live in an era when that's discouraged, mildly discouraged. It's not like we're persecuted or anything, but, you know, mildly discouraged, because then it really stands out. If someone's swimming upstream, right, really stands out.
It does. Again, like we talked about Monument Valley or things like that. In a way, you know, I think the culture has, you know, disintegrated in many ways in the last few decades, but one good thing about that is that the social norms are different. So, like, the people who do remain are more genuine. They're not just acting a certain way because it's acceptable.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you stand out more.
Well, yeah, I imagine in the past you had more nominal Christians, right? It might have taken a little longer to dig to find out, okay, is this girl the real deal?
Right.
Is this guy the real deal?
Right.
So,
well, one thing that helps me is to think, okay, probably, I imagine, because this goes through my mind when it comes to evaluating women sometimes, but I think, could the woman that I think would be a good fit for me actually even exist? And then I think, well, wait a minute, I exist. So wait, I've already proven that such people exist. So then it just has to be someone of the opposite gender, you know? And then I have plenty of examples of women, wonderful women like that existing. They just didn't happen to be the right one.
yes.
But you have to, that proves they're out there.
One other thought on that. Things can look the same. Okay, we've used this metaphor if you're driving to a big city. Say you're driving across, you know, a wide open state, 200 miles to the city. You ever have that feeling where maybe you don't know how long you've been going, you suspect it's around 200 miles, but still no city in sight? You start to sort of question your own judgment, like, hey, wait, did I drive through the city and miss it? Did I take a wrong turn? But you know, it could be that you're at mile marker 195 and that the city's there at 200. You know, it's just over the next hill. But it makes a big difference if you continue on or if you panic and stop or turn around or anything else, right? And I imagine that happens for a lot of young men or young women that, man, I thought I was following God. I'm trying to do the right thing. But here I am at this age and no right person in sight yet. Have I done something wrong, God? Well, of course you should be humble enough to think, yeah, check the obvious things. Are you somehow out of God's will? But barring that, I would say, no, just keep doing what you're doing, because it would be a shame if you don't have anything to be self-conscious about. Everyone doing it the wrong way, they have something to be self-conscious about. Let them explain themselves to you. You don't have to explain yourself to them.
Yeah, it's no achievement to like marry the wrong guy.
No.
It's funny, people will congratulate you on your wedding no matter who you're marrying, no matter what.
It's true.
They'll come like buy you a blender and say, congratulations.
It's true.
I want to congratulate people who have managed not to marry the wrong one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bigger feat.
Well, yeah, because it's really not worth it. I mean, you get a party thrown for you one day and get some attention, but you're going to have to live with each other for a long time. So,
well, can we kind of wrap this up? Can you tie together what's the common thread in all that we've been discussing here?
I mean, it does start with just basic things that, hey, you have to know where you're headed. You have to know whom you're serving. You have to be serving God. You have to put His truth first. You have to say, no, I'm going to follow God. I'm going to love Him with all my heart, soul, mind, and body. And then the rest is all up to Him, right? You do have to put no gods before Him, no desires, no hopes before Him. Even good hopes, even godly hopes, like wanting to get married or things like that. You do have to be willing to lay that on the table and say, hey, I sure hope it happens, but your will be done, God. I think that's the place to be. And then once you've done that, you're only responsible for your side of the fence. You can only take care of yourself, right? You can't make any other person out there do the right thing. But it does take faith. It says that, blessed are those who have not seen who believe, right? And if you've seen, then it doesn't really take faith, right? So just to remember that, no, that's normal. That's what faith is, right?
That's right. I would say that just every yes is a no to something else. And every no is a yes to something else. And what do you ultimately want to say yes to? And the first thing is God and what His will is for your life and His laws, frankly. But then also you would want to say yes to a good husband in the case of a girl. And so then by saying no to a lot of other things, you're building up that yes. And it takes faith, because you might. One metaphor I like to use, sometimes I feel like this way myself many times. It feels like I'm in a dark mine shaft. And I have an empty coal cart, I guess, you see those in the cartoons.
Yeah, one of those things that go on that.
You've been told you think you're in a diamond mine. You think you are, and you've been told that, but you can't see it. But you just keep filling up the carts with it. And one day you're going to roll that out into the light, and you'll see what it is, and you'll know for sure. And of course, that's not an argument for blind faith. It's when if you know that this is the path, but you can't yet see why. I would say just, hey, by faith, keep building up that yes. Keep filling up those coal carts. Even though right now it's not being appreciated. In fact, you have to risk it being unappreciated. You almost by definition would have to risk it being unappreciated. There's it's some old poet or something. I only know, I'm not that smart. I just know it because it was in a movie. It was quoted in a movie.
Okay.
But someone said, in this case, it was a man writing to a woman, but saying, hey, I could not love thee so much, dear. Loved I not honor more. And in a way, that's not very romantic to say, oh, you're in second place, dear. But it's saying, no, it's only because I was willing to live without you that I'm able to love you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I think this goes for guys and girls. but like choose today whom you will serve. And that, of course, that means serving God, but also just choose today which one you're going for. And then make it as aerodynamic for that thing and risk it for that thing. And it can be a beautiful payoff.
Amen to that.